Nope, not doing it.
But random.
I said no, I'm not doing it.
But random. The title of the video says...
I don't care. I have standards. I have principles. There are some things a man should not do. I will not rip a tag off a mattress. I will not eat pineapple on pizza, and I will not play Five Nights at Freddy's. Scott Cawthon, the maker of FNAF, made numerous games beforehand, but none of them really took off. It wasn't until he got feedback on one of his games, Chipper's Lumber & Co., that he got an idea. Chipper & Company were heavily criticized for being uncanny and creepy, even though the game was supposed to be cute. So deciding to make lemons into animatronic lemonade, Scott made a game called Five Nights at Freddy's, a game where you're a security guard watching over 4 deadly animatronics for the night shift at a pizzeria. And to say this game was a success is one of the biggest understatements of the century. It was huge, being played by YouTubers and streamers of all kinds. From Let's Plays to theory crafting of the lore of this cursed pizza establishment, fans were hooked and they couldn't get enough. The game was a financial success too, having sequels, books, tons of merchandise. There was even a live-action movie made, and a sequel's on the way. Five Nights at Freddy's has certainly made an impression in its 10 years of life. It's been hard to ignore, and despite being quiet about it, I kept up on my fair share of things. I've watched people play it, I've heard the lore and stories, I've listened to all the living Tombstone songs, and even watched the funny edits of Matthew Lillard. But despite being a closeted FNAF fan, I've never played any of the games, and I never wanted to. It's not that I hate horror, I mean, I played games like Dead by Daylight, Omori, and Outlast, and I've enjoyed them well enough, but I despise jump scares. I'm a jumper, what can I say? It makes me anxious. So the last thing I wanted to do was play these games. However, as a content creator, this game is always there, waiting. Even when you think it's gone, it always comes back. For years, I would get constant requests for me to play it. So many people asking, when are you gonna play FNAF random? When are you gonna play Five Nights at Freddy's random?
Random? When are you gonna play Five Nights at Freddy's?
As your friend who is a bear and also was a FNAF kid growing up, I gotta ask, when are you gonna play the Five Nights at Freddy's games?
What? You haven't played Five Nights at Freddy's yet, random? What are you, chicken?
When are you gonna play Five Nights at Freddy's? Probably never, because you're a coward. Coward.
When are you playing Five Nights at Freddy's?
Random. When are you gonna play FNAF? Come on, bro. It's only spooky season for so long. Get your coward out there and start get those jump scares, okay?
When are you going to play Five Nights at Freddy's? The people want to know.
So you'll play Emio Famicom Detective Club, but not Five Nights at Freddy's? What are you, scared?
When are you finally gonna get around to playing more of the classic Xenoblade Chronicles X? What? Animatronics?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were coming back for the Metal Face reunion. Are you talking about FNAF? I guess. You were talking about playing that. When are you going to?
When are you going to play Five Nights at Freddy's?
When are you gonna play Five Nights at Freddy's?
When are you going to play Five Nights at Freddy's?
When are you gonna play Five Nights at Freddy's?
Have you played Five Nights at Freddy's yet?
The game has been out for 10 fucking years. The longer you wait to play it, the more you're just gonna lag behind the rest of us. So get yourself in gear, soldier, and play Five Nights at Freddy's.
No! I've had enough! Once and for all, I don't care. I will never, ever play Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, fine, I'll play Five Nights at Freddy's. I should have known I couldn't back out of this one. After all, I am contractually obligated to play this thanks to the powerful force of charity. I made a promise that if we raised a certain amount, I'd play Five Nights at Freddy's. And well, you certainly delivered. Some of you donated like 500, which is absolutely insane. So I am a man of my word, and I will play the games. And yes, I do find it ironic that in order to raise money to cure a disease that kills children, I'm playing a game about killing children. But if we're doing this, we're doing it in style.
If we're gonna be a security guard, we're gonna have to dress like one. Behold! Ah! Whoopsie! Now behold! Yoink. Let's get to work.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Is this where you wanna be? I just don't get it. Why do you wanna stay at Five Nights at Freddy's?
I'm ready for the night shift. When did I get a landline? Hello?
Hello. I wanted to record a message for you to get you ready to play FNAF. By the phone, you should see the Five Nights at Freddy's Switch collection.
FNAF collection?
It came out sometime in 2021, much later than the PC version, as a matter of fact. Don't ask how it got in your room. It's best if you don't know. It contains every game from the original to sister location. So 5 games, 5 nights. They were doing something there. Anyway, it's a lot more frustrating than the original and a little awkward, but you'll be fine. Besides, you like Switch games, right? The first game is the original, Five Nights at Freddy's. The one about the magnificent pizzeria. It's weird to call it a classic, huh? But hey, first game out of 5. You'll be done before you know it. Talk to you soon.
Well, no turning back now. For the children.
Five Nights at Freddy's. 10 years, and look at all the trouble you've caused. In this game, you get a new job as the night guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a run-down pizza joint featuring the titular mascot, Freddy Fazbear. You start your shift and immediately get a phone call from Phone Guy, who tells you what to expect from the job. He tells you to watch the cameras, check the doors, and make sure to conserve as much power as possible to keep people out. Or maybe it's to keep something in. Yada yada dismemberment, yada yada destruction of the frontal lobe, stuff you in a suit filled with very sharp metal objects that'll kill you. Nothing important. And it's at this moment that I realize something awful. I can't move. I'm stuck in this chair, and there's no way of getting out anytime soon. All I can do is look at each door beside me, open and close doors, check the cameras. That's all I can do. It kinda gives you a feeling of helplessness that a lot of horror games can't quite replicate. At least with horror games like Amnesia, you can run away from the danger. Here, you can't even do that. You're essentially playing guard duty and hoping nothing moves. And when it does move, where the hell did it go? Looking at the cameras can be nerve-wracking too, as this game provides quite a bit of atmosphere. The lack of music along with the sounds of the changing cameras are eerie enough. But seeing these smiling sons of guns staring at you in the camera, and it raises your blood pressure. But look on the bright side. It's better than when they encounter you at the door. There are 4 animatronics you gotta worry about in this game. Bonnie is the most active one, usually the quickest one to move, and you only see him through the left door. He's probably the first one you'll encounter, and probably the first one you'll die to, too. Chica is the chicken with the Let's Eat bib. She's a little less active than Bonnie, but she's certainly still a threat, always trying to come in from the right door. There's Freddy, who isn't nearly as active in the earlier nights, but gets progressively more aggressive with each new night, trying to get you when you aren't watching him through the cameras. And then there's Foxy, the final one of the batch, Foxy the Fox, who is in Pirate Cove, and he'll randomly peek out of the curtain through the night. You gotta keep your eye on him, otherwise he'll leave his stage, sprinting like Willy Wonka is offering up his chocolate factory, and the golden ticket to get it is in your office. Have you heard of our Lord and Savior, Freddy Fazbear? Well, there seems like a simple solution. Just shut the doors, right? Problem solved. Well, that's where the power mechanic comes in. This place is so run down and crappy that you have limited power. Everything you do takes power. Checking the cameras, using door lights, closing doors, opening doors, doing nothing. Your power just slowly drains. It's like being stuck at a place with no charger and only your phone is entertainment. Each time you use it, the power drains more and more until you're budgeting that power because you know when that charger hits 0, it's over. Only in this game, your life literally depends on it. Hello there, Mr. Fazbear! What bright eyes you have! You have maybe a little time for Freddy to play his song until... But if you do make it at 6 a.m. Yeah! I did one! Ah, sweet relief. No! Okay, so the good things about this game. Like I said, it does a fantastic job of building that atmosphere and tension. You can really get lost while waiting for things to appear, and it really can mess with you. Just waiting and waiting and waiting until BAM! An animatronic is at the door. This is the helpless horror of FNAF. You actually use your door lights to see if they're there. And if you close the doors when they say trick or treat, you can tell if they are there by seeing Bonnie's shadow or Chica at the window. It's the little things. However, while they are a little creepy, I don't think the creep factor lasts too long. Sure, the surprise and jump scare gets you at first, but it isn't long until the scare wears off. Mostly because the animatronics look derpy if you look at them without the sounds. Also, the jump scare noise isn't that bad either. I get how it's supposed to sound like a child, but due to overexposure in memes, the original sound doesn't do anything for me anymore. Even with the buildup, it just doesn't get to me. Also, as the nights go on, looking at the majority of the cameras become kinda pointless. As things get more frantic, all you have to worry about is checking Pirate Cove and keeping an eye on Freddy so he stays in his spot. The other cameras don't have a lot that you have to worry about, kind of cutting down on that whole atmosphere thing. Also, the nights are a little too long, which makes sense because they are the longest nights in the series. But it can be disheartening to manage everything right, only for Bonnie or Chica to stay at the door slightly too long and run you out of power. Also, the fun thing that happens with the Switch version that doesn't happen in the Steam version, the lights kinda stick here. If you press the button to turn on the lights, you have to press the button again to turn it off. Otherwise, it will just stay on, even if you move away from the lights. It's one of the main reasons that the console version of this game is so difficult, and one of the reasons I can't beat this game. Other than me being a scared weenie. Yeah, I couldn't beat this game. I only got to night 5, and no matter how much I tried, I couldn't make it to the full week. Freddy Fazbear would always get me in the dark because my light switch was always flawed. I realized there are things like the 6th night and a custom night, but I couldn't get to either of them. And honestly, I don't want to get near them either. This game causes a ton of anxiety and stress for me. But you know what the funny thing is? I kinda like it. The atmospheric moments and the goal of staying alive has a nice little challenge to it. And I did find it a little fun once I knew the tricks and tips on how to survive the night. I'd be lying if I didn't see why people like this game. Even with the jump scares, the derpy animations, and the 2 long nights, the strategy and reward of trying to beat the night is still very satisfying. There is definitely a reason to love the original, and I would play it again, but only the PC version. The Switch version is flawed with the controls like the sticky light switch. But other than that, the first game isn't too bad. And that's not even mentioning the story. It's not shoved down your throat like other games, but more environmental storytelling that you have to pay attention to find. Stuff like things hidden in the background, the names of the children, newspaper articles of missing kids. There's lore if you look hard enough. And what you can't find, the community will theorize, and did theorize to put things together. Which is pretty cool to see lore sprinkled into this animatronic murder spree. Well, maybe if all the games are like this, it won't be too bad. It wasn't even that scary. Bring it on, FNAF! I'm ready for ya.
Hello?
Hello? Well, if you're hearing this, then you made it to FNAF 2. Congrats. You're 1/5 of the way there. The next game is FNAF 2, and like any good sequel, it does some things that are certainly different. Not that it won't be anything you can't handle, right? Either way, I'm sure you'll get through it no matter how much things have changed. But I'll talk to you in the next game. Stay golden and keep checking those cameras, and I'll see you on the flip side.
Well, on to Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And look at that! It starts with a cutscene from the point of view of the animatronics. Huh. We're getting some actual story here. Cool! You start in the freshly renovated Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with a new location, new attractions, and new animatronics. A lot of them look cuter and similar to Chuck E. Cheese. At first. Phone Guy talks about how advanced they are, and how they have facial recognition that lets them wander around and not hurt anybody. Sound familiar? The layout is a lot different, with the biggest thing being there are no doors, and you don't have to worry about power either. Yay! You do have to pay attention to the two vents to your side, and the one open entranceway ahead of you, and of course, the cameras. But the fan is back! Look at that fan! While the building doesn't have power, your flashlight does, and you shine it at the cameras and vents, just in case you see something unfortunate approaching and try to get it under control from a distance. There's also a Freddy Fazbear mask you can wear, and a music box you can wind up. The atmospheric horror returns with the cameras, only it feels more like an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese, with the animatronics looking a lot more detailed and less like derpy puppets. This makes things all the more terrifying when they come to your office to get you. So you had to worry about 4 animatronics the last time around. How many more do you have to deal with here? 11. 11 animatronics you have to worry about. The most out of any of the 5 games. You have the new animatronics, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Chica, along with Mangle, the Toy Foxy. Yeah, kind of. 3 of the toy animatronics can make their way into your office. You can see them in the doorway, in the vents, or worse, in the office literal inches in front of you. The lights blink and yep, I'm pretty sure my heart's about to stop. There are also the withered animatronics, basically the veteran killers, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy coming back. Looking worn down with their parts exposed, and it's super terrifying when you see them in the hallway. But how do you deal with them? Well, you use your flashlight to continuously blind them with light. And if they manage to get in the office, you gotta put on that Freddy Fazbear mask and wait. And either they leave you be, or... Death aside, I always found it kind of silly how easily the animatronics are fooled by you putting on the mask. Like, is it really that easy to fool them?
Sucker!
It's kind of hit or miss on the mask working or not, but it seems like the faster you do it, the more likely you'll survive the encounter. So you're gonna wanna be a speed demon with putting on that mask and flashing the animatronics. Although Foxy is a special case, as he can only be stunned by the flashlight. If he gets into your office, you're dead. Mangle is a special case too, called Mangle because her body was taken apart and put back together again. She doesn't typically go for you normally, and at least you know when she's around by the radio sounds she makes while hanging from the ceiling. She'll even get on the ceiling in your office too, or hang around the door, which is not only disturbing, but I'm pretty sure it encourages more animatronics to come by. Thanks, Mangle! Stop hanging around! You're not welcome here! So that's 8 of the animatronics. What about the other 3? Well, Golden Freddy returns, but I couldn't get him to pop out either. But he rarely appears and crashes the game like the first one. That's cool. Balloon Boy is a creepy boy animatronic who loves greeting people with a nice, scary hello. And he'll make his way into your office. And while he won't kill you, he'll yoink your batteries, leaving you defenseless against any other animatronics coming your way. This definitely makes you an easy target for Foxy to be a pirate and grab your booty.
Hi.
Damn you, Balloon Boy! And finally, there's the marionette. Remember that music box I told you about? You have to keep that wound up constantly while checking a specific camera and winding that box and doing it all throughout the constant chaos. Because if you don't, you'll hear Pop Goes the Weasel and you can guess what happens next. Kill me! Do it! Murder me, puppet! Do it! I want to see you try! I want to see you go against me and murder me, and I want to see you come out of the darkness and kill me! Do it! Uh-oh, I take back everything I said. I take back everything I said. Not Pops Goes the Weasel. Please no. Oh God. Oh, this. So you might have noticed one of my biggest issues with the game. Everything is so damn overwhelming. I was already anxious with the first game, but this took everything to a whole new level. You have so much more to worry about here. Checking the cameras, checking the vents, flashing the doorway, flashing the vents, putting on the mask, running out of batteries, winding up the music box, and keeping yourself alive while waiting for that freaking clock to strike 6 a.m. It's an incredible amount to deal with, and it's very easy to die, especially on the later nights when things get even more hectic. I don't really get a chance to take in the atmosphere, as the moment I hear certain sound effects, I know stuff is about to go down. I miss how the first game would build tension gradually throughout the night. Then it releases that tension whenever what animatronic currently tormenting you pops out. FNAF 2 has a completely different energy where it's just overwhelming. Everything is out to get you, and even after completing a night, you just feel mentally tapped. To say the least, this one was a lot scarier by a long shot. The animatronics look better as previously stated, making the toy ones creepy by comparison, and the withered ones looking terrifying with how run down they are. The jump scare sound packs more of a punch too, sounding a lot more mechanical and beast-like. It's scarier than a child crying, at least. The fear adds on to the constant chaos. So much so, some people feel you don't need the atmosphere to be horrified. That there's so much that breaks your senses that it does the job for you. And yeah, I feel it's more of a long-term impact than the first one. And it certainly doesn't help with my overall mental health. The lore steps up for this game too, as it introduces what would become a staple for the franchise: 8-bit minigames. Sometimes after you die, you will experience these simple 8-bit minigames that look like something out of an arcade. They usually have you moving around doing something simple, like giving children food or balloons. But these games also depict events revolving around a new, ominous character, the Purple Guy. He's usually there, lurking in the shadows. There's even one game of him turning a child gray and crying. Who is this Purple Guy? Is he the man behind the slaughter? Is he connected to the kids in the first game? Why is he purple? Is he Barney? So compared to the first game, FNAF 2 is certainly different. It has more animatronics, more ways to die, and it constantly has your panic meter set to 11. It's a lot harder to beat. I don't even think I got past night 4. It does a great job of overwhelming the player with all sorts of things to do, with so much more to worry about. There's a bit too much need for random luck or chance to succeed, especially as the difficulty spikes. Unfortunately, the Switch's controls become a problem here too, as moving fast is difficult. Still, it does a lot to improve the scare factor, add to the lore, and to better show how scary these animatronics are. I still prefer the first one, but it does a lot to advance the series. 2 down, 3 to go. And while I feel I lost some hair after that one, I'm making some progress. It can't get worse than this, can it?
Gee, I wonder if I'm gonna get a call today. Hello?
Hello? Hello? Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is up next, and I'd like to say I think you'll like it, but, well, there isn't much to say that's good. Not even diehard fans of the series like it. It was originally supposed to end the series, you know? But that's certainly funny hearing that now, huh? Well, I'm sure you'll be able to get through it and move on to the next one. Anyways, I'm going to get a pizza. You want anything?
Actually, I'd like some pepperoni.
Oh yeah, I forgot this was pre-recorded. You like olives? You sound like an olives guy.
No, I hate olives.
Olives it is. Expect a pizza sometime during your shift. Taken out of your paycheck, of course. Talk to you soon.
Great!
Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Right away, we see a new animatronic. It looks like Bonnie, but a crude yellow version that's a lot more destroyed. It's been through a lot, obviously, and I wonder what his deal is. This time, we are in a location known as Fazbear Frights. A location based on the old pizzeria that is supposed to be a haunted house attraction, filled with all sorts of props from the original restaurant, including masks, and there's even a fan! It can't truly be a FNAF game without the fan now, can it? Phone Dude is at first new, but eventually he starts playing recorded tapes, and guess who they feature? That's right, our favorite phone guy. The atmosphere returns this time around, and you have a lot less to deal with. You have 3 meters to take care of to make sure they don't malfunction, because like all the other games, this building is very terribly run too. The camera system is back, but if it shuts down, all the cameras become plain static. There's an audio device, and that makes the sound Balloon Boy makes in FNAF 2, and ventilation, which if that goes wrong, you have trouble breathing and start hallucinating. You know where this is going already, I bet. Honestly, the first night is just a tutorial, with Phone Dude rambling about God knows what, while you just play around and get familiar with things. And while this is atmospheric and scary, there's no animatronic to kill you on the first night. Enjoy it while you can, because it's not gonna last long. The game also starts with the 8-bit minigame, where you play as Freddy wandering around until he gets into an inaccessible room until... Ah! Purple guy! Soon day 2 starts and Phone Dude says that he found one. A real one. And that is when the game truly begins. Unlike the 11 animatronics from the last game, there's really only one you have to deal with here. Kind of. This guy is Springtrap, the golden rabbit that's been withered and destroyed going from room to room, trying to get you. Your goal is to keep him out of your office and stay alive every night, usually doing so by distracting him with the noises of Balloon Boy, apparently because the sound of children drives him to follow them instantly. Something about its programming, I'm not really sure. That's why you want to keep the audio working, and the cameras you want to keep working so you know where he is. Although Springtrap's certainly not making it easy for you. He's constantly hiding in the weirdest spots, so you can barely see him, especially given the quality of these cameras. So good luck trying to find him in the first place. So why do you need the ventilation? Well, this is where the phantom animatronics come in. Animatronics that aren't real, but are hallucinations. Ghosts? Either way, they scare you, but they don't kill you. When your vents go down, these animatronics will start appearing and doing jump scares. Phantom Foxy jumps out at you, Phantom Chica will show up in one of the rooms, Phantom Balloon Boy will show up in the cameras, Phantom Freddy's shadow will just walk in front of you, strolling along like he owns the place, Phantom Mangle makes a freaky radio noise, and Phantom Marionette forces you to look at him and nothing else, because he's an egotistical jerk. These guys not only give you a jump scare, but also mess with your meters, causing them to malfunction and have to reboot them, all wasting time that will let the Golden Bunny of Death enter your office and kill you. Rinse and repeat for the rest of the night. This game infuriated me the most out of the 5. I'm not kidding. This is the worst one by far. There's so much I disliked about this game, and out of all of them, I can see why the fandom liked this one the least. My first main gripe is the animatronic itself. The premise of luring it around with sound is a decent idea, but it has one fatal flaw, and that's the lack of animation. The fact that it does the FNAF trope of using still frames makes it exceedingly hard to track where Springtrap is, and oftentimes, it seems like he gets to your office out of nowhere, although he's probably using the vents. Not to mention, you have no idea if the noise even worked to begin with. You just see the camera disappear and pray to God he went to the room you wanted him to. If this was fully animated where you could see him twitch and move towards the room you're luring him to, this would make it much more manageable. It would be similar to Night Trap, a game where you look through cameras with full motion video, and you could tell where people were going so you can make the call on what to do. Then there's the meters themselves. I do my best to be on top of my game, but even when nothing is wrong, phantom animatronics can pop out and make a mess of things. There's a way to avoid them, but the timing is so short, and one jump scare can do so much damage in the long run. Next thing you know, Springtrap is in your office, and you're dead. And this rascally rabbit is not afraid to taunt you either. He'll look at you through the glass window. He'll hang out by the side door, just chilling. I see you looking, mugging to the camera with that smile. Just do it. Do it. Do it already. Do it before I run out of oxygen, you coward. Ah! F you. I hope you die in a fire. That's another thing. The jump scare is a lot less effective this time around, and it has nothing to do with the noise. Although the fact that it sounds like a robotic T-Rex doesn't help either. And sure, it'll make you jump, but they also play for the phantom animatronic jump scares too. You know, the ones that don't kill you. That not only makes it less scary because it doesn't always mean death, but it means you'll hear it more often and become desensitized to it quickly. At least the jump scare in FNAF 1 was played every time you died. You can get hit with jump scare after jump scare with this game. Plus, I played the Switch version, where again, the controls were very awkward. But also when I played, I got a glitch, where Chica jump scared me at the start of every night. Every attempt. Ah! What the f***? What the f***? Right when it starts?
I'm more annoyed. Like the jump.
What? Stop doing that!
Let's see if it happens third time around. I'm gonna turn my headphones off just in case. It's a what the f? It's like
Groundhog Day! Even less scary, Springtrap being scariest in design doesn't lunge at you or anything like the other phantom animatronics do. He kind of just leans into the screen, popping in like, hey, what's up? Your boy Springtrap here. I never realized the science that can go into a jump scare. You'd think in a series that relies so much on them that they'd have that science locked in by round 3. But FNAF 3 fails at it completely. And there's no doubt about it, this makes it the worst with gameplay. Which is a shame because there's a lot of cool stuff with the story. More 8-bit minigames, more lore, and while I didn't reach the end myself, it confirmed that Springtrap was the purple guy himself. All stuff that's really interesting for people who are in it for the lore. I remember watching Markiplier beat this game and just being intrigued by it all. But I think that makes sense. This game is fun to watch, and nowhere near fun to play. It has way too many issues, and it overall is just a terrible experience. Probably the worst one so far, by far. Can you believe that this was supposed to end the series? Well, at least we're over halfway done, and the lore is slowly coming together. Purple guy, missing kids, pizzeria, animatronics of all kinds.
It all comes back to him. I'm dead serious.
Okay, Random, you're not going insane. You got 2 more games to get through. Just stay calm. What?
Hello? Oh, wow, look at you, FNAF 4. I didn't think you'd make it this far. You know, not that you are bad at games or anything. I'm not implying that. Anyway, you should be proud. You got one more to go after this. Fair warning, Scott made this one because people complained 3 wasn't scary enough, so he changed things up a bit. It's not gonna be easy for you. Maybe the hardest for you yet. Well, good luck. I think you're gonna need it.
Five Nights at Freddy's 4, a game that broke tradition from the past 3 games. It starts with the 8-bit cutscene where you play as a young boy who has a talking golden Freddy doll. He's locked in his room, pounding on the door, and then he starts crying. Thrilling story! The game officially starts and... what kind of pizzeria is this? We're in a bedroom? And I can move? Oh my god, I can sprint from door to door. That's a low bar. You know the mechanics from the previous game are minimal when you're excited over something like this. You have to check multiple locations in your room. There's a door on each side, a closet, and your bed.
What bedroom has 2 doors in it?
You have your trusty flashlight that you gotta shine into the hallway. And you can listen to the sound of breathing, close the door, and wait a few seconds and shine the light. All while occasionally checking the bed for little Freddys. Do this until 6 a.m., rinse, repeat, you know the deal. Nice that hasn't changed at least. You not only get new cutscenes after every completed night, but you also get the plush trap minigame, where you have to listen for him moving, and then shine the flashlight at him at the right time. If you get it right, you get to start at 2 a.m. instead of 12, which is very helpful. And you can tell this game plays completely different from its predecessors, mostly because the fact it relies on noises. Bonnie is on one side and Chica is on the other. You have to listen for their breathing and radio signals. If you hear them, you keep that door shut, because otherwise... How did I die? Basically listen and make sure nothing gets in that room or by the door. You do this while also checking the bedroom. The longer you stay away from the bed, the more Freddles pile up. And if enough Freddles are on the bed, Freddy comes in and kills you. Eventually, Foxy enters the closet and becomes something you gotta deal with too. Remember when I said this game wasn't scary? This game brings the terror factor back to 11. It is one of the scariest games I have ever played. It's devious with the fact that you have to be as quiet as possible, listening for the tiniest noises, only for a sudden jump scare to hit you if you do anything wrong. And this jump scare is super loud and ferocious. Probably the worst sound so far. And it made me feel very jumpy. It messed me up so bad, I dreaded it every time I had to check the doors. There are also the scariest animatronics I've seen so far. Dubbed the Nightmare animatronics, and it gets that name for a reason. They belong in the nightmares of a child. And seeing them pop out at you with that scream got me pretty bad. There are some issues with the game, despite how scary it may be. The sound mechanic makes sense, but it certainly isn't perfect. It's hard to tell exactly what the breathing sound is they want. I found myself mishearing it more often than not. That or it was too quiet to hear at all, and I get caught off guard trying to avoid these robots knocking on my door. Also, the plush trap minigame, while a cool incentive, only starts you at 2 a.m. for the first attempt. Once you die again, it sends you back to 12. A part of me wishes this game went a little easier on you, but this is FNAF 4, and nothing can be easy with FNAF 4. The lore returns in this one, and it's more important than ever, as the 8-bit cutscenes actually feel like story beats. We see the torture that happened to this crying child. Plus, thanks to these cutscenes, we get one of the most memorable moments in the entire franchise.
Was that the bite of 87?
That's really all I have to say about FNAF 4. It was the most horrifying of the bunch, so much so I could barely play it to get footage of it. I couldn't even get past night 2. That's how bad I was with it. It does a lot to break from the franchise, but does improve upon the horror factor with how scary it is. If you are braver than me, you will probably enjoy it, but I will personally never, ever play it again. It's just not worth the loss of my sanity. All right, one more game. Let's get it on.
Listen, you talking voice box, I've been through 4 games of this torture and I have 1 more to get through. So you're gonna shut up and I'm gonna—
Are you expecting someone? You seem agitated with them. I wouldn't worry about them anymore. I heard you've been playing all the FNAF games and that you're nearly done with them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 1 more to go. 1 last game, and this nightmare of yours will be over. Why do you subject yourself to this? Why do you torture yourself for entertainment? It is intriguing. You've come this far. Are you ready to finish what you started? Or will you run like a coward with your tail between your legs? I hope you won't disappoint those who are watching. We all are watching you, after all.
I'd like to talk to HR, please.
Wait, there's a cutscene that isn't 8-bit? There's voice acting? Holy crap, this game has a legit story to it. Five Nights at Freddy's sister location is the most narrative of the bunch, where you are guided by a robotic voice called Hand Unit, who has us working on various animatronics in questionable ways. Each day will work with a different animatronic, doing tasks specific to that animatronic. A lot of this stuff is very questionable and doesn't make a lot of sense, and you'll even find these tasks end up putting you in a life or death situation. At least at the end of these trials, you get to tune into your favorite vampire soap opera, eating from your basket of exotic butters. Hey, don't judge! This butter is Unt flavored. The vibe of this place is similar to an underground facility, very different from the previous location. Each section will have you doing the certain task, all while making sure animatronics don't jump scare and kill you. There are versions of previous animatronics, like Funtime Foxy and Funtime Freddy, with a Bonnie hand puppet on his hand, but you also have new animatronics like Ballora the ballerina, and Circus Baby the clown circus girl, who is creepy to the max but also wants to help us? Maybe? They all look like futuristic robots, all chromed out and pink. Combine that with their super creepy voices, and you get some of the most chilling performances for the series. Even Hand Unit gets a voice. He's honestly not as helpful as he claims to be, and suggests we do a lot of things to try and kill us. Not to mention all the wrong information they're spewing. Often the best way to survive is to just not listen to them.
It seems you are taking a long time. Please proceed as quickly and as quietly as possible.
Each scenario has you doing all sorts of weird things, relying on sounds, sights, patterns, anything to outsmart the animatronics. Some will have you crawling through the vents, or have you pressing buttons to distract animatronics with noises. And all of them, if you fail, jump scare you. Bonus points though for each animatronic having a unique jump scare, which would be nice if it wasn't terrifying. This definitely has the most story by far. Each night is kind of a chapter for the story, just trying to figure out what the heck's going on and discovering more lore. It's such a different structural approach from the previous games that I really enjoyed a lot. There's actually a tangible story here from beginning to end, and I'm not used to that with FNAF. What is this underground facility? Why are the animatronics helping us or killing us? What are the secrets of this sister location? While there are some improvements, like the others, there are some things that bother me. The biggest thing is the lack of checkpoints. Checkpoints seem to be in random spots, and if you die, you have to repeat multiple tasks for the day you died, instead of just doing the task that killed you in the first place. It can get a bit upsetting to finish a challenge only to die in the next one and have to do it all over again. Also, while the controls for the Switch made the previous game passable, it feels impossible to just move fluidly with a controller. This game was made with a mouse in mind, and I had so many awkward experiences with using my Pro controller. Some of these challenges are straight up impossible, like trying to grab Puppet Bonbon's tie. I just could not do it for the life of me. I know there's really nothing you can do for a console version, but it made it all the more difficult for me. But other than that, Sister Location is the most interesting of the bunch, and probably my favorite. It's nice to see some story here, mixed with some creepy moments and challenging minigames with the new animatronics. The budget increase with the newer looking animatronics and the fantastic voice acting does so much to break the FNAF mold and change things up. It really stands out from the previous 4, and while it causes me a lot of stress, just like the rest of these games, at least the budget has increased and Scott took some chances with making this entry. And I'm glad I can call it my favorite. And that's it! I played Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, 3, 4, and Sister Location on the Nintendo Switch. And I couldn't beat a single one of them.
I quit.
The Five Nights at Freddy's franchise has certainly transformed over the years. What was once a low-budget game about killer animatronics has transformed into a whole franchise, filled with so many games, characters, and even more jump scares. While I enjoy the lore and watching games from afar, I did not enjoy playing these games myself. Sure, the first one is charming and Sister Location rocks with the story, but all the others were terrible to play for me. They were stressful, made me anxious, and just overall left me exhausted. In all honesty, if it weren't for the charity redemption, I never would have played these games, and I never want to play a lot of these games again. But at the same time, it's an adventure, and a part of me is happy I got to at least try them. It's intriguing to see how this series has transformed over the years, how each installment has evolved from its simple origin, and how the lore has not only been told throughout each game, but how each game made an impact on the community. It is safe to say the FNAF fandom is still growing strong each and every day, even a decade later, and I will admit, it's nice to see the games that made everyone fall in love with the series, even if I'm not the biggest fan of playing them. Still, I've done my end of the bargain, and I've played every game. I am finished with the Five Nights at Freddy's collection, and I am so relieved to say that.
But what about Pizzeria Simulator?
Still, there are a lot more FNAF games to get through, so maybe I will try a few more in the future. Another time, another place, another Five Nights at Freddy's.
Hey everyone, if you're here at the end, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way through. This video has been in the works for months and highly requested, and it means a lot that you watched. Please like the video, leave a comment, and check out my other videos too. Special thanks to Woo for being my script editor, Eros Xard for making the wonderful thumbnail, the Blu-ray Joe 3 for voicing Phone Guy, Blue Penguin Girl for voicing Circus Baby, all the magnificent content creators, streamers, and VTubers who cameoed at the beginning, and extra special thanks to Nebulous Key who helped me film a lot of the phone footage and anything that wasn't in front of my computer, and Bethany Taylor who made the cover of the FNAF song you're listening to now. Go check her out and everyone else who helped out in the description below. And an extra special thanks to everyone who donated to the St. Jude Live campaign. Doesn't matter how much, as long as you donated, you all helped make this happen. This video would not exist without you. And of course, I gotta thank my Patreon patrons, including Mantelferox and Saavikaam. You all continue to support me, and I hope to continue to make you happy. If you'd like to join the Patreon, the link is in the description below, along with my Twitch, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Thank you so much for all your support. I'll see you in the next video, and have a happy Halloween. See you on the flip side.
It's like there's so much more. Maybe you've been in this place before.
You know, when I was still alive, I always liked the taste of watermelon.
Wait, what?